Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is 58 Keys, and as ever, this is for you if you are a writer who, like me, uses Macs and iPhones and iPads. This time it's particularly iPhones and iPads because we're talking exclusively about what the worth is to writers of iOS 14, the brand new operating system that has just arrived for all iPhones, and iPadOS 14, the almost the same thing, which has arrived for iPads. I am really only focused on writers. It's probably a bit unhealthy here, but there are loads of things in iOS 14 that are. I heard there was something like 85 differences between it and the old iOS 13. I've only found about half a dozen that I think are really important to us, but I think they are important to us, and you're going to love the last one on the iPad especially. Let's go through what is worth what is worth in iOS 14 for us as writers. So this is iOS 14 running on my iPhone 11 Pro, and you can't see the difference. Well, there is the tiniest difference, which I'll show you in a minute visually on the first thing. What you will notice straight away when you've done it is that your iPhone is faster. I haven't measured it with a stopwatch. I don't know anything about specifications, but I installed iOS 14 and it felt like I had a new phone. And isn't that good enough? That's a reason enough by itself, I think, to upgrade. I know that's for everybody, and not just for writers, but you feel like you've got a new, faster phone. And I was very happy with my phone before. I'm happier now. There you go, reason enough to upgrade. Let's look at something more specific, though. If it all feels faster, there are also things in it that you can do faster, do more quickly, that will get you information quicker. All those times when you just stop writing in order to look up something, well, sorry, that's gone now because you just, and straight back to writing. Here's an example of this. Let me see. I mentioned there was a small difference in the screen. It's down here. Turn this a little bit. Apple has squeezed these down so that you have a bigger gap. You can put your finger there, press and hold, and all the jiggly stuff happens. But there's a new plus button up here. We covered widgets before on 58 Keys. This is what they look like now. Starting to see some third-party widgets as well as Apple's own, but let's go for something Apple-y to start with. I saw news there a moment ago. I want news. There we go. Tap on news, and we have various options of a size. You'll see why it makes a difference in a minute, but these are your options. So basically, huge, wee, and teeny. I'm going to go for teeny. Hot and hold on that, and now drag it up, and I'm done. All I have to do is pick up my iPhone and I get the main headlines, or it could be the weather, it could be a map if I use that a lot, it could be a calendar of the next event. As more developers release updated apps, I'm expecting my beloved OmniFocus to be a widget there, so that I'll be able to pick it up and just see the next couple of things I've got to do. Widgets are incredibly useful, but do you notice they're also quite big? They take up a lot of space. Let me just go over here to this next page, or now to this next page. I did this earlier. This is the one I actually use a lot. I've been changing about a bit, but this is the one I go for a lot. News is again on the top, and that's a bit depressing, but look what happens if I do this. Oh, that is a calendar. Happy birthday, Ian Billings. A selection of shortcuts. That one, the grey one, that's a bug in iOS 14. It should be more shortcuts. I don't know why it isn't. And into this is a Doctor Who topic. I don't remember actually picking that. Well, let's get rid of it. Nothing against Doctor Who, obviously, but I don't know that I want to read it every day. I'm going to edit news, I think. Take away this topic. Is there another topic I can have? European Union. Why not? Okay, so now as that reloads, okay, there I have. I can flick through. That's podcasts, music. That's straight news. Happy birthday again, Ian. Shortcuts. Not shortcuts, and now topics for it. Fine, very nice. That's one widget taking up one space, and that's probably what I'm going to do. You could fill your screen up with these things, but I like the widget. I also like all these apps. I use these apps a lot. I've arranged them over years to be where I need them. The things I use most to be there when I need them the most. So adding a widget alters all of that, and the fact that you can do this thing with this thing called a stack, I think it's particularly useful. Let me show you something else. I want to add something to the stack. I'm going to edit the home screen. You see that plus button up at the top there? Let's see what else. Well, I don't think I've got a world clock in there. Is that the size I want? That's the size I want. I'll have that. Drag it out onto there. And now while it's dragged out, drag it up, tap done. And now in that same stack, I have the clock as much as I do anything else. During the beta test, there was this weird bug that you could drag one widget on top of another, but you couldn't drag the other widget on top of the first one. Sometimes it just got a bit hinky about it and you had to fiddle around with it. You saw there were different sizes. You can't drag a small size widget onto a medium size widget or onto a large size widget. You've got to pick the one that's the same size. But yeah, can live with that, I think. That gives me instant access. No, that's not true, is it? It gives me quick access to, in this case, the clocks. There are people I work with in LA, for example. I can change these. I'll probably change Tokyo to New York because I use that quite a lot. But then I can pick that up, see whether they're awake, nip to see what's going on here in the EU, and worry about those shortcuts. These are the shortcuts I use most often, and the birthdays and the news. I can choose to get that. I can pick up the phone, have a quick flick through things, set the music running, go back to my writing. Or there's this. Let me press and hold in here. Let me edit the stack. This is the list of all of the items I have in there. In fact, actually, I don't know that I like the headlines, but I don't think I want the topic all the time. If I want it, I'll go in for that. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to get rid of that shortcuts one that doesn't work. I'll try it again later and see what happens. And actually, I think most often, I'm making this up, but most often I want to look at clock, so we'll put that up at the top. And then there's this smart rotate. Switch it off and you get just what I showed you there, flicking through to whatever you want. Switch it on, you can still flick through anything, just as I did, but so can Siri. I just said I use the clock a lot. I can't remember how often I use it, but quite often in the morning I will check the news headlines. So now, even after about a week of using this, iOS 14 knows that's what I do. So I pick up the phone, swipe to that page, and that widget is showing me the news. And then later on I tend to listen to podcasts. I used to do it mostly when I was traveling, and I don't now, so I've got a really settled time, but around lunchy time, if I have a lunch break, then I might listen to a podcast then. So you know where this is going. I pick up the iPhone during my lunchy sort of period. Podcasts will be showing on that widget first. It learns what you want and when you use things, and it provides them to you faster. So not only do you get a quick glance at something, but it's there ready waiting for you. Do you know, it actually sounds spooky when you put it like that. One more thing about widgets that actually I'm not so keen on. Let me add something else here. In fact, I'm going to edit the home screen, tap the plus button, and I can't remember where it is. I'm going to look in here for notes. Okay, there's Apple's notes. Let's have that one because it's the same size. Pull it out and straight in to that one. I love the idea of having notes as a widget here. Normally notes, it's on my front screen. I have it there. I use it quite a lot. Go in for all sorts of client stuff, quick thoughts, things like that. Having it right there is handy because it can show me some recent notes. It can let me get into things, but what it can't do is let me just tap right there and start writing something. That's what would be most useful for us, I think, as writers. Pick up your phone, start writing immediately. We haven't got it yet. All of these widgets, they show you information, but they act really as a button to take you through to the app to do more. So I presume I can tap on notes, and yep, I go straight in. I can write a brand new one. And be done with it. But I can't write in that space. I think that's a bit of a shame. Actually, you know, it seems to me like the benefits of iOS 14 all boil down to speed. And one of the things that contributes to this, I think, is the fact that if you've had an iPhone for a while, you've probably got a lot of pages of apps for this. Now, you can see I don't actually have too many. I don't know why that is. I think I spend hours curating this, deciding things. And, you know, just like anybody else, I have folders full of stuff. Stuff goes in folders if I don't use it that often, but I don't want to get rid of it because I use it often enough. You can, and I know people have added up, 20 pages of these. You see these little dots at the bottom of the screen here? That's one dot per page You've got per page per screen for it, and so that's quite minimal. I've seen people with dots all the way across. You're probably sane and sensible and are somewhere in between these two extremes, but it still means two things. One is you have to swipe a lot to find an app, which is fine if you remember where it is, but you don't remember where it is. You can ask your iPhone to do it. You can just swipe down and start typing some app in there. That ought to come up with Omni Outline, and yes, it does. But really, I don't know why this is. I'm one of the few people who has a bug where that searching doesn't work. You can see that it has turned a result, but it's found the Omni Outliner website for downloading the app, even though it hasn't found the app and I've already got the app. An unacknowledged bug. Apple hasn't talked about this. There is no solution for it. That search won't find it. Asking Siri will. So I do that a lot actually. Here's Siri. Open Omni Outliner and things like that. But now we also have this. The app library, excuse me. I love the app library. I am astonished how useful this is. I mean, look at that. All it does is group your apps into folders like productivity and finance, utilities. I'm actually genuinely reassured that the very last one is just called other. Yeah, it seems quite human to me. But there you go, loads of folders. Isn't that nice? Except, yeah, it's amazingly useful. Look at the top two. Suggestions, Siri suggestions. That's based on, similar with the widgets. What apps do I tend to use at this time of day most often? There they are. Next to it, well, I've just been writing about TikTok and WeChat, so I downloaded the two apps. They're there. Outlook, I think I use for the Writers Guild. Things like, yeah, you download it, there it is. So if you have 20 pages, your iPhone has downloaded the new app to a gap somewhere. You never even need to know where it is. You can just go straight there. And underneath here, these are categories, but they're more intelligent than that. I mean, look at the productivity and finance one, Omni Outliner. It was the last app I used before I started talking to you. So there it is, waiting for me. All of these are arranged by when you use them, how often you use them. So it's a complete collection in folders, categorized, but intelligently. So since I've had, well, certainly since I've been using it on my main phone, but even in the time when I was using it on a beta version on a spare phone, I just found I stopped searching for apps. I'd swipe across into the app library and there we'd go. And on the times when I couldn't see what was wanted, tap in there for the search. And yeah, you can search for Omni Outline and there it is straight away. But you also have a complete list alphabetically of every single app. I have no idea what receiver is. App Library on iOS 14. Is it worth it for itself? Is it the sole reason to upgrade? No, but it is really good. App Library doesn't exist kind of on its own, though. I feel like it's really tied into another feature that I'm surprised how much I like. This is how you get into App Library. Remember, here's iPhone front screen. There's the widget I just added. I swipe across, I swipe across, I swipe across. App Library is always the last screen, the last page. Fine, it means you always know where to go. But if you have a lot of pages, that's a lot of swiping for it. And you can get rid of that by this other utterly gorgeous feature. I'm honestly surprised how much I like this. Even with my few pages, I found this handy. So let's go back to the front page to show you. I'm going to press and hold on the little gap in there. And now you see those page dots at the bottom. They've got a little icon around them, like a lozenge. If I tap on that, now we have the ability to show or hide any pages we like. Tap done again to get out of the jiggly bits. So now you've seen this. That's my front page. Swipe straight into the app library. Straight into the app library because there are no other pages between my front one and my last one. You can hide any page you like. It doesn't get rid of any apps. They're all there. They're all in the app library. You can unhide a page at any time. But now I just have two really useful pages on my phone. So getting around it is that much faster with hidden pages and app library working together. Right, please watch the screen for this. I've got rid of the widget so that you can see what happens, but I want you to see I'm not touching any other screens at all. Please let that have worked. Yes, it did. I've just run a shortcut by tapping on the back of the phone. So let's just make sure we see this again. We'll get rid of this. That's a shortcut I've mentioned before on 58 keys. I'm a freelance writer, does a lot of workshops. If I'm booked for something, those are the 3 companies that book me most often. So a double tap, and now I'm entering the details for any one of those workshops. Let me get out of this. Cancel. All right. That's a thing called double tap, and there is also a triple tap. From iPhone 8 onwards, you can, and you have to switch it on in settings, accessibility, touch. Switch it on. You can then tap twice on the back of your phone quickly, and it'll do something like a dozen different possible system things, like changing the volume. I think changing the brightness is in there. Certainly launching the camera is one of them. But the most useful thing of all is it will run a shortcut. So you can create a shortcut that does anything you like, and double tapping or triple tapping will start it for you automatically. You've just seen the double tap one. I use a triple tap one. So far all it does, it switches on Do Not Disturb, and it launches the video camera app I use when I'm filming things. I think I'm going to extend it to some other stuff to do with the outline and stuff for it, but I'll play with it later. Double tapping, it's called back tap, and the double tap or triple tap can do pretty much anything you want on your iPhone. Right, so this one has to be done on an iPad. Let me go into Notes, mention Notes, I'll just get rid of that list of things. This is harder for me than it is for you. I'm actually honestly surprised it worked. Okay. Nothing I can do about the handwriting. But isn't that amazing? I see that and I kind of flash back to the days of the Apple Newton and stuff. But that's infinitely better. No, I didn't show you this. This is so useful. Yeah, there you go. I can write in Notes, but I can actually write anywhere. Let's have a look at this. So here is a web page. If I try writing in here, and off we go. This is called Scribble on iPadOS 14. So not iOS 14, doesn't work on your phone, and it needs an Apple Pencil for it. But you can, anywhere that you could tap to type, you can now tap and handwrite. And there are also things that, if you're more artistic than me, you can draw circles and it'll look at it and think, yeah, that's probably a circle, and straighten it out. Probably can do more artistic things than I'm ever going to be capable of. I mean, look, you've seen my handwriting. Yeah, me and pens and pencils, they don't go together. But they might for you. You're a writer. I think you're more of a note taker than I am, a scribbler than I am, because you can probably read your handwriting. In which case, if you have an iPad that it works with, and mine's an iPad Pro from 5 years ago, so things more recent than that should all work with it. And if you have if you have an Apple Pencil, you'll be able to do these things. And even I find it really addictive, embarrassing but addictive for it. So that's it, iPadOS 14 and iOS 14 for writers. Is it worth it? Yeah, absolutely is it worth it. I think the combination of those features, the widgets were the thing I was drawn to first. I mean, knowing they were coming, using on the beta, made me try widgets more on iOS 13, and I've just come to appreciate the use. And that stacking of things, I find I'm so often picking up the phone. I keep my stack on my second page, so I pick up the phone and swipe, glance at the headlines, go back really ridiculously often. For something that's supposed to save me time when I'm writing, I use it too often, but I like it. The novelty will wear off. It becomes just useful at some point. That ability to glance and get information, the fact that I can get to the apps I use quite a lot faster, the fact that the whole phone feels faster. Any one of these, yeah, it's enough. Considering that it's free, I think it's worth upgrading for. But all of them together, I think, make iOS 14 particularly useful for us as writers. Yeah, all right, and other people as well. Fine. That's it for 58 keys this time. If you do like this stuff, there is so much we can do with iOS 14, iPadOS 14, macOS Big Sur that's coming. iPhones, iMacs and iPads, they are built for writers, and we can exploit them, and there's so much to talk about. So do the YouTube dance and hit the subscribe button for me. More urgently, more immediately, strange day, say. Take care of yourself though. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.